This right here, veggie lasagna, cutting all of the corners. G'day friends, how's it going? Welcome back to Sam's Home Kitchen, where I bring to you budget-friendly recipes with sustainability in mind. This week we are making lasagna. It's not just some ordinary lasagna, but we're going to make it as cheap as possible. There are two tricks we're going to use to save us some money. First of all, we're going to make our own lasagna sheets. And with our lasagna sheets, we're only using flour, water, and some salt. It's going to piss a lot of Italians off, but hey, it's worth a try, and at the end we'll find out what flavor compromise have we committed to. And second of all, we're going to ditch meat. I mean, unit price wise, meat is just more expensive than veggies. So we've got a selection of meaty vegetables that's going to be a good substitution. They are lighter, they're more refreshing, but just as fulfilling. So that's the two main points. That's enough talking, and let's get cooking. So we've got a bunch of veggies that we're going to prep. First of all, we're going to start with our aromatics. So going to cut up our onions into small dices. First, halve the onions and get rid of the skins. I like to keep a bowl on the bench when cooking so I can easily collect these food scraps for my compost bin. To finely dice onions, thinly slice the onions but leave the end attached. Turn the onion 90 degrees and give it a couple of slices across horizontally. After that, thinly chop across the onions, and now we have some pretty nice and even cubes. Make sure to reduce our wastage by getting as close to the roots as possible, and don't leave any edible parts behind. From another angle, and we'll do it again. Finally slice through the onions, a couple of cuts across, and thinly chop the onions through. Now the onions all cut up, let's chuck them in the pot to get it all started. Over to the stove, a large size pan on medium to low heat. A drizzle of neutral oil, or extra virgin olive oil if you want to splurge. Onions in. Here, we don't want super high heat to burn or char our onions. Just a low and gentle heat to cook it until soft. Some salt to season. Continue to cook on low heat to soften the onions slowly. While the onions are cooking on the stove, come back to the workbench to get onto the rest. Grab our zucchini, cut off the end bit and start grating with the box grater. Same deal as onions. When grating, I like to get as close to the tip as possible so all that is edible is utilized to the best I can. Just look at that wastage, or the lack of. Next, carrots. I'm a carrot skin on kind of guy. I find carrot skin all come in very clean, so I don't see the point of peeling. Do you like carrot skin on or off? Let me know in the comment section. So that is 2 zucchinis, 2 carrots, and a whole heap of deliciousness. Over to the stove and into our pot. Always make sure to give the grater a shake to not waste anything. Give our grated veggies and onions a stir to mix it all up. Into the pot, add in not 1 but 2 tins of peeled tomato. Always rinse our tins and get every drop of the goodness into our pot. Stir it up to combine it all, and we leave it on low heat to cook away while we continue with the rest of the veggies. I found some cheap cauliflower for $1.50 a head, so it's a no-brainer to use it to bulk up our lasagna. What's great about cauliflower is the entire thing is fully edible, from the leaves to the stem to the flower. The cauliflower I got here is from the ugly section, meaning it's not up to the beauty standard that big supermarket set. It does not mean the cauliflower is any less nutritious. After trimming off the slightly damaged edges, 95% of the cauliflower is still perfectly edible and costed us only 30 to 50% of what it's sold at supermarkets. To make the most of our cauliflower, I snapped off the leaves and chopped them into small dices. And then I cut the entire head of cauliflower, including the stem, into small chunks. It will cook down and soften the longer we cook, so a rough chop is good enough. Cauliflower into the pot and over to the stove. Yeah, I know, I ran out of room in the pan used earlier, so now I have to transfer it over to my bigger Dutch oven. Rookie mistake. Now I'll transfer it over, a generous amount of cracked pepper to add depth of flavor, a couple of pinches of mixed herbs, Mix it up and let it simmer away to cook it all down. Back to the bench. Smash up a whole head of garlic, crush it all to release the allicin enzyme, and finally chop the garlic before adding into the pot. Have a look, zucchini and carrots have softened quite a bit, but cauliflower still has a fair bit to go, so we'll keep it simmering on low heat. While our veggie mix is cooking away, time to come prep the lasagna sheets. Into a bowl, I measure out 300 grams of flour, just using plain flour to keep the cost down. It's a 50% hydration dough, so that'll be 150 grams of water. Couple of pinches of salt to strengthen the gluten. Now, mix the dough until all flour is hydrated. We can now let it rest for 15 to 20 minutes. Time's up, come back and work until it all comes together and form a dough. Let rest a second time for 15 to 20 minutes. While the dough is chilling on the bench top, we can use the time to make our bechamel. Pan or pot on low heat, adding some flour around 50 to 70 grams. I'm adding some neutral oil for cost purpose, but butter can be a good substitute for more flavor. Pinch of salt to season. Toast the flour for a few minutes before adding cold milk. Stir the mixture until the texture is consistent with no visible clumps. Bring the bechamel up to boil so it thickens up. This is the consistency we are after. The dough should be all well rested now. Time to finish it up. Divide the dough into workable sizes and churn through the pasta machine until we reach a thickness of 5. That will give us a good amount of surface area to build layers. We're getting so close. Grab a deep baking sheet or a casserole dish. It's time to put it all together. Start with a good layer of our Veggie Ragu. First layer of lasagna sheets in, Veggie Ragu, and Béchamel sauce. Make sure it's spread out as evenly as possible, and definitely not forgetting about our cheese. Lasagna sheets, veggies, white sauce. Repeat until we run out of all of the ingredients. Make sure to finish with a good layer of cheese on top to form that classic golden crust.
Now this is fully loaded, we'll wrap it up and pop it in the oven.
Cover the sheets with alfoil. This will allow the heat and moisture to be trapped within the dish for a more even cook. Now, pop our lasagna into a preheated oven at 200 degrees Celsius on fan force. Cook for 1 hour and remove the alfoil. Continue to cook the lasagna until the top layer turns golden brown. Once done, remove the lasagna from our oven and let set for at least 10 minutes before cutting into it. The resting time is super important, that if we try to rush and dish up right away, our lasagna can easily slide around and fall apart and turn into a mess. Rested lasagna forms a much better structure and we can maintain that gorgeous layers that we work so hard for. The cost breakdown is right on the screen here. The entire dish costed us $7.73.5 to make. That will yield us about 8 portions, so each portion is less than $1.
Alright, and there we have it. That is our lasagna all done right here. Looking schmick, looking really good. I'm going to dive in and just let you know how it tastes like. The lasagna sheet, you can't even tell the difference. You can't even tell that this is just made from flour and water. The layers, the vegetables are cooked really well, really flavorful. You get that different texture from the vegetables, you get that white sauce, really creamy, kind of wraps it all up together. And then the cheese, I think I could have gone a bit more, I could have gone a little bit harder, but this, really beautiful, really nice. That is all I got for you today. If you enjoyed the video, if you learned something, give it a like and consider subscribing. I have a new video coming out every 2 weeks doing budget cooking and try to be as sustainable as possible. Thank you so much and I will see you in the next one.